So just wanted to meet and talk about some of your goals for the coming year and the coming, you know,
Sure.
whatever plan you have, however far that is.
Absolutely. So I'm actually currently enrolled in a like a YouTube training program.
Mhm.
And prior to this, I never did. I would say like even like my long-term goal. I didn't know where I wanted to be. I didn't know what I really wanted to do. But because of this training program, one of the first steps that I must do is create goals. So the goals work in 3 months, 6 months, and then I can divide out to there. But then like a year, 2 years, and 3 years. So it really forces you to say what steps are goals 3 month and 6 month going to help you lead to one. A lot of my goals revolve around monetary gain because
Mhm.
ultimately being in a creative space you want it to be self-sufficient. Because I've had companies reach out to me. I get them like every other day, an email saying, "Hey, like we'll send you this free microphone if you do a review and unboxing." And ultimately, I'm just shortchanging myself
Mhm.
because of the amount of time and effort it takes to make a video like that, post it, cross promote it, and do everything of that nature. Um, and the whole 2020 is for me to try to get to 10,000.
So is your whole plan based around YouTube specifically?
No, I've been trying to diversify brands. So I had like a I'd say like a midlife online crisis with my old Instagram. I had like a really decent sized Instagram in my humble opinion of like 3,000 followers. But I've had the platform for so long, the original people that started following me just don't care about the things that I was posting anymore. So it made it really difficult to continue in that path. So me going to companies and you lead with, yeah, I have 3,000 followers, and I'm like, oh, it's great. Like, how many people are seeing your post? And you're like, 12. Like that's a ridiculous. It's a ridiculous ratio, and you can't
Yeah.
sell anybody on it. But beyond that, I just recently, early 2020, started getting into the Twitch space again. I always had a lot of fun live streaming. I used to do like live stream Q&As um, just for YouTube. I would do it like once every Friday. And the whole idea is when I was putting out bi-weekly or like every other day content, Friday was meant to recap it. So people that would catch like a notification of my live stream, I'd be like, yeah, guys, I linked all the videos that I made this week in the description below. Make sure you check them out after the live stream. And, it was just that like, hey, like, here's more self promotion. So I stopped doing that, but I did venture back into it early this year, 2020. And I started doing Twitch and video game stuff again. I so my main goal with brand has always been to just be completely transparent and that I'm not selling. So like my early brands where I was like a podcast host, it was very character oriented. I like swore a lot. I was really dirty. The whole idea of that early podcast was that like it was geek culture, but like with the twist from like Howard Stern. So like you would just be, I don't keep it very clean on your show, but like um it was very adult oriented content. It was just shock jock, and I played that character. And then people would meet me and be like, you're not like a lot like that. And I'd be like, no, the whole idea was to make this thing. So with my current content, uh, especially across every platform, it's all just me. So like when I try to sell you on a brand, ultimately I'm trying to sell you on my personality, on how I look at life, how I edit or try to just survive or motivate or um, and that's how I do it. I don't want to be anything other than just me because being anything else is just too hard. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like what's my essence?
If you had to give yourself some adjectives, that kind of thing.
I so my content focuses around storytelling. It
Mhm.
focuses around the stuff that I use to storytell, so it's easy for me to concentrate on like gear and technology,
Mm-hmm.
programs, stuff like that. But when it comes to storytelling, I kind of, that's where I throw in a piece of me. Even with my review technology stuff, I try to throw in like Tom jokes, like very dad-esque,
Yeah.
like jokes and stuff like that. And that's what keeps it light and fun for me, rather than just like this droning on of like, here's a fact, here's a fact, here's a fact. Like going, here's my thought, here's a that's what she said joke. And this is like, these are the things that keep me entertained. So I hope that people in that realm sign on.
It's
But
like
when
a
it comes to
casual.
story, exactly, because I never wanted to take anything that I do, I don't take it too seriously, which
Mhm.
could be a fault, but I just don't. Like I life goes on, like we got another day, but like we're fine.
Yeah.
I don't really, as the kids say, YOLO. So and then that's kind of how I treat like all my stuff. Like I've made mistakes in editing and live streaming and taking pictures. I'm just, I'm learning,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm trying to document. As far as like my essence, an adjective to describe me, I would say what I try to portray is like honest, trustworthy, like dude next door, friendly, approachable. That's kind
Mhm.
of what I always wanted, because I look at people that I put on a pedestal, that are within this space. And if I saw them out at like an Applebee's, I'd be like, I'm not gonna buy them. I don't know. They don't know who I am. But like if somebody approached me, I would be like humbled at this point in my
Yep.
career of creating. Do you know what I mean? And I always want to portray that. I don't want anybody to ever go, yeah, I met him. He's a dick.
Do you see yourself as more geek or tech?
Oh, um, so I've had like a phase out of geek.
Hmm.
I have spent well, I haven't done it in a long time, but prior to 2018, I spent thousands of dollars on comic books and like action figures. And it was like problematic, where I was like, I don't have any money, but I'm going to buy this toy and I'm going to put it back here. And that's what I was doing. At this point, I don't identify with it anymore, because I'm over the consumer aspect of being a geek.
Hmm.
Do I still geek out over stuff? Sure. Like I love Marvel movies. I can still appreciate like action figures. I love old toys and old video games because it's stuff I grew up with. So more of like a nostalgic geek. But at this point in my life, I think I connect more with like the tech side. Yeah.
So when it comes to tech, what kind of have you narrowed that in much at all? Like do you try to focus on a specific type of tech, a specific angle, like target audience when it comes to the tech?
A little bit, because I know where my views are derived from.
Hmm.
Um, so with that, drones. I have a decent following within the drone community, and it's because I piss people off right off the bat. I said this drone that GoPro came out with, which by the way, it was like falling out of the sky, and it like got recalled, and I said it sucked, and it butt hurt everybody. But I made a video. I was like, this drone sucks. And like people got really mad, but they subscribed to it. And then I was like, wow, like I got all these people's attention. I'm going to release the same video and say, this is the best drone of 2019. And I did. And more people were like, yeah, that's all right. That's a great drone. So I know that I have that audience, and that tech that I release that's focused on drone photography, videography, the commercial aspect, the consumer, prosumer flyer stuff is really, it's well followed in my niche.
Hmm.
I just don't have the money to go out and spend $1,200 every time a new drone is updated and
Right.
released. So I try to recycle that content, or uh, release both sides of the coin. So that's what I'm learning. Do I like it any more than anything else? No, because I think you can get into a lot of trouble because of how regulated it is.
Yeah.
Like for the longest time, I had a Part 107, which is ultimately it's just like it's a commercial flying license. You're literally a licensed pilot to fly unmanned aircrafts, and you need one in order to take pictures and make money off of it. There's like a gray area with YouTube. Like, are you making money off of it? Are you flying for fun?
Oh, okay.
I had that license for like 2 years. I didn't re-up it yet. I'm going to. Um, but that whole community is very like safety forward, as they should be.
Mhm.
And they just critique, and it's just like pointing the finger. I don't know. I'm going to stay in it just because it's I don't know, use the word profitable, but it's so profitable to just feed people
Right.
content on the things they like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I can make it. Then that's kind of where like that's where my dynamic comes in. I call it like a 2 for them, 1 for me. Where like, go ahead.
Do you think you bring any knowledge and like education to it, or are you just on the entertainment side of it?
No, I try to be fact forward, because what I've learned on YouTube is that I'm not at the level to entertain people about my stuff
Hmm.
in that regards.
No, I hear you.
And people don't look for entertainment. They look for factual information. Like knowing that YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world, it's primarily where you have to start if you're going to make content for it. Like
Yep.
you go to YouTube and you go, how to turn on a MacBook. Do you know what I mean? How
Mhm.
to do this thing. Which would be weird if you're watching a video on how to turn on a MacBook on something else.
They'll watch it on their
Yeah, I
iPhone.
didn't think that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You watch it on mobile. But you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
as long as you treat it like a search engine, you can optimize the way people are going to find you. So if I thought about doing this actually the other day. Say it was like PSVR, how to correctly set up PlayStation VR. And then
Mhm.
somebody clicked my video, it looked like a really optimized thumbnail and title, and they're like, oh, this is quick. It's only a 13-second long video, and it's just me throwing it in the garbage. Somebody would be like, that's not what I looked for. Do you know what I mean? Like, you have to give people the payoff for searchable, factual content. And that's what I
Yeah.
have to deliver, where I would love to make that video about, say the GoPro Karma drone, how the GoPro Karma drone is in 2020, and I just throw it in the dumpster. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's funny, but like 99% of my audience would be like, why would you say that? I don't know. I'm still trying to figure
You'd
out
have to
my
be
own.
very selective. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's why like I was saying, I do this 2 for them, 1 for me, where I release content and it goes factual review content, factual
Mhm.
review content, story time. Like this is Tom's life. And
Okay.
then people that subscribe to these 2 because I delivered or gave them some sort of value will get served this, and they'll go, wait, he does this too. That's my hopes. Anyway, that's what I hope they do.
Do you think of yourself as an expert on anything that you cover?
Oh, that's a tough question. No, I don't think I do. I think I'm very good at certain things. I think I can troubleshoot things pretty well. Um, I don't, I don't, I don't deliver enough. I'm not formally trained in anything that I currently show off online, but that's
Mhm.
kind of where my brand takes in where I deliver in my brand it's factual information that you could get out of like the instruction booklet, but condensed into like 4 to 5 minutes, and it's my thoughts as a consumer. So where
Okay.
I say like I try to portray honesty and like um, honesty in that space, I think people that sign on board and like the way that I look at things and review them or deliver an opinion would go, oh, like, yeah, Tom, that new camera that came out by X company, he didn't like it for reasons X, Y, and Z. And that was within the first week of him using it. I think I would also find X, Y, and Z also dissatisfying. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Uh, where do you see yourself in like a year when it comes to the content that you're putting out?
Um, because of when we first started talking and mentioning like this class that I'm in,
Mhm.
I have an idea of what I need to produce in order to grow. So it comes down to it. This is my internal struggle with YouTube is I know how to get there, but I don't want to like shortchange myself in the things that I really like to make. So like in a year, if I was to just put out content that could better be served to the audience that likes watching it, it's a no-brainer that I would grow. I would grow like overnight. Just
Mhm.
drone. It would be easy. Like, and then they go, hey, yeah, he's the drone guy. But I don't want to be that guy, you know?
Yeah. Mhm.
There's a lot of people that I follow that recently started asking the question, like, do you consider yourself like a full-time YouTuber? And a lot of people that are doing full-time YouTube don't see themselves as a full-time YouTuber. They see themselves as a full-time something else that just happens to be on the platform of YouTube. And I think that's important to go like I'm a full-time artist, but I create art that I showcase on YouTube. And that's the audience that you garner when you do that.
Mhm.
That's a little bit different for me because YouTube being the only viable platform until something else comes up, I don't think I have a lot of choice on where I can post. So like when it comes down to like, uh, what are you? Like that's like it's a weird question to ask somebody like all they're doing is creating content for YouTube. Um, you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
I don't know. That's like an internal struggle thing with me too, because I never liked, I made a video about this. Like I never liked having the idea of like a job define who I am. So like that's, I don't know. It's
Yeah, yeah.
that's a real deep one for me to go like, where do what do you see yourself doing, and how are you going to get there? Because I mean, I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's a weird one.
Okay. So you do see this becoming even more of a business for you than it is right now, which is why you're investing time in these groups and classes or whatever.
Yeah.
The side hustle of it.
Yeah, so yeah, I think as long as you treat it like a business and understand how your influence can create a lifestyle,
Hmm.
then you have a leg in on the game. Background income, also not necessarily even supplemental, but something that you can just like me jumping into the realm of like affiliate sales from Amazon and doing all my merch and everything through them. It just seemed like a no-brainer because it was nothing. It was, you know, it wasn't a ton of work for me. So what else do I do? I do affiliate sales with like 4 other companies that it's all just very like trickle down.
Hmm.
Um, and it works, but it doesn't. And that comes back to like my 1 year goal where like it works, but it doesn't like feed me 100%. Like there's other things that I have to
Yeah,
do.
and also you don't want to seem like desperate for any type of monetization that you can get or anything like
Well,
that too, you know.
exactly. Yeah, 100%. But I think people that there's gurus that I know and I watch them talk to other people, and you know it's very like spirited, like, oh, if you're not doing it for yourself, like who are you doing it for? And like I get that, and
Hmm.
like if you're not making content for yourself, like who are you making it for? Sure, but we all have this need to show people what we're making. Do you know what I mean? Like you
Hmm.
didn't eat something in elementary school and then like hide it from your parents. You would go home, be like, look what I made. Like, let's look at it. Let's look at it. I did this thing. And I think it's the same thing with YouTube, where if somebody says they're doing something without the money in mind, um, I think they're kind of kidding themselves.
Yeah.
There's a God, what's his name? There's this philosopher that I used to listen to quite a bit, and he talks about how he was a college professor philosopher, and he would talk to kids and say like, what do you want to do? And they would be like, oh, I want to be a doctor because I want to buy a big house and I want to do this thing. And he'd be like, well, what do you want to do if money was no object? And people would be like, well, I want to paint and
Hmm.
I like riding horses. It's very YouTube because ultimately, like, you want to be a painter, paint, and the money will come eventually. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
your audience will develop. Um, where I think it's hard is um, not having that monetary hit right off the bat. Like,
Yeah.
I made things for 3 years without getting paid for them, and I kept having to tell my wife, "Don't worry, like this is totally gonna work out. Like I am gonna start making money." And then I started making money, and she was like, "How much money are you making?" I was like, $50 a month. Like, what are you doing with your life? You know what I mean? Like it was one of those things. But
Yeah.
um, what I'll give you a little bit of a background too before I get into it. I had a very 9 to 5 desk job prior to quitting and doing YouTube like full time. And it was my wife's idea. She goes like, I came home one day and she's like, we got to talk. You need to quit. I was like, why? And at this point, she was like 7 months pregnant with our daughter, who's now 2, a little over 2. And she was like, you're just a miserable person. Like, I don't know who you are. You walk in the door and like, you don't talk and you're miserable. She's like, quit. Like, there's no other option. I was with this company for just over 5 years. I was like climbing the corporate ladder, and my wife, she sat me down and was just like, as your wife, I want you to be nothing but happy, and then you'll figure it out. You kind of always do. And that's what I did. I went in on a Friday. The next day was a Friday, handed in my 2 weeks notice, and then they ended up like letting me go on that Monday. And I like never looked back. And it was crazy. It was like a whirlwind because I had a baby coming in 2 months, and it was nuts. But and I looked to that story to tell quite a bit, because I think it's inspiring in itself that like I only had this one. My one goal when I left that job was to just be happy, just try to like live life as best I could, be happy, and make it work. Living within my means, I have, and I did. And I try to share that with people, and that's kind of like where a lot of my content will end up going in 2019 too. Like my notes on here is like how to quit your job in 2020, like how to make extra income in 2020, things like that, stuff that I do that's very like supplemental, that kind of keeps my head above water month to month. But that all still comes down to my 2020 goal of tenfolding. If I can tenfold where I'm at, puts me in a little bit better space. But